Hi, my name is Joanna Whitney. I am an intuitive artist, a student of natural law, and an energy practitioner. And we're studying the Kabbalion by the three initiates. And we're on the law of cause and effect, which I think is the most obvious right now, besides the law of polarity. Because we're kind of at the effect of all of our causes at this point in time. So I'm going to just read a few paragraphs. It's going to take a while to get through this chapter because it's so dense. I'm not going to just plow through it because there's so much to it. And I think it's important to consider the ideas that are presented like for a week and see them play out in your life so that you can start to meditate on the subtleties of these laws, which are in effect. And the thing is if we, as a species, were quiet enough of our minds to watch these laws play out, I think we would be a lot more considerate of what each individual person's actions actually are. You know, for example, what pops into my mind right now is that I do a lot of volunteer work with the Great Escape Mustang Rescue, which a lot of people don't know about this, but there's been a roundup going on since the 70s of wild horses from the United States and here in Colorado, in the Sandwash Basin, Utah, but also across the, country. There's wild horses almost in every state. In Arizona, definitely, but there's wild horses in Oregon and on the East Coast also, on any land that would now be considered probably owned somehow by the government, which, by the way, they sold it all to the UN or whoever the fuck at this point. So now they think they own the land. So now they don't want anything wild living on it for whatever reason. And, or of course, the globalists want to know where every living thing is on the planet. So this is increased. So what they do is they send helicopters out and round them up by helicopter and put them in pens, and they just stay there. And a lot of them die there. A lot of them have babies there that are then tortured. They are tortured mainly because their natural law rights are being violated by other sentient beings who have the bully complex. And the bully complex is, when a sentient being themselves are enslaved and they feel that they have to be enslaved in order to make fake green paper. It's a long story. You'd have to really investigate it more than I can say right now. But basically, they feel that they have to do this. And so what they do is they kind of project their own enslavement upon the innocent, and then they torture them. It happens constantly. This happens in slaughterhouse situations. It happens with, children, human children who are being tortured by parents who are enslaved by drugs or alcohol, or by simply the system, which is an enslavement system. And so then they torture these innocent animals. And so I work with these animals using the emotion code and the body code and the belief code, because what the nonprofits do is they try to make them adoptable. But these horses are extremely messed up mentally and physically because of the torture they endure at the hands of the Bureau of Land Management. And to me, this is just a small fraction of a lens into what our enslavement society causes, the cause and effect, the law of cause and effect. So, for example, if people were individually to contemplate the law of cause and effect in its entirety, watching it play out in their lives, it's unlikely that they would agree to be order followers who carry out enslavement. They'd probably just say no and walk away, and then the BLM wouldn't be able to play their games. But because people are cut off from their heart and they don't contemplate these laws, we have this sort of behavior. Not only this, I mean, this is, you know, this is just a sliver of all of the bullying going on. You know, the military is a great example of that. The military, I mean, there's so much going on. It's happening everywhere now. It happens like this happens in, let's say you worked for Amazon Corporation. I mean, this is why I don't like to buy anything from Amazon Corporation. I know everybody buys shit from Amazon, but I'm just going to say this right now. You know, I don't want to be a part of it, okay? Because it's total enslavement, and the way people treat each other, it's a complete violation of what we as a country used to be about. You know, it's a total slave system. And you have to, you know, they time you. If you have to go to the bathroom, they time you. I mean, this is old news. I'm sure people know about this. But, you know, then there's the people in the hierarchy who are just regular people who work in the system of Amazon and torture those of them beneath them or whatever in their stupid hierarchy, which is a slave hierarchy. So, you know, the thing is, when you want to, if you participate in Amazon by buying from them, then you're part of the cause. That's how I see it anyway. I prefer not to buy from them. I mean, at one point in my life, they didn't exist and I didn't have to buy from them. So I just go along with that. Anything I can only get on Amazon, I guess I don't need. I mean, I have bought from them, but I just prefer not to do it because I'm participating in that blatant human slavery. But there's so much human slavery going on right now, and it's going to get worse as long as people ignore these laws and act. Like, you can listen to me rant about these laws all day long, but if you don't start to embody them and stand up for principle, it doesn't matter, because you can have a head full of knowledge and still act against yourself by telling yourself, oh, I need that paycheck. You should really give it a shot. Like, I've been living without that point of view for, I don't know, over 20 years now, and I'm still here. I mean, you know, maybe I don't have like a Pottery Barn lifestyle. Pottery Barn, let's see, that's an old term. I guess it's more like Bed Bath and Beyond. My house doesn't look like Bed Bath and Beyond, but I'm here, I'm free, I'm conscious, I'm awake. I get by just fine. I have everything I need and more. So anyway, let's get into the book here. I'm on page 82, The Law of Causation. A careful examination will show that what we call, quote, chance is merely an expression relating to obscure causes that we cannot perceive, causes that we cannot understand. The word chance is derived from a word meaning to fall, as the falling of dice. The idea being that the fall of the dice and many other happenings are merely a happening unrelated to any cause. And this is the sense in which the term is generally employed. But when the matter is closely examined, it is seen that there is no chance whatsoever about the fall of the dice. Each time a die falls and displays a certain number, it obeys a law as infallible as that which governs the revolution of the planets around the sun. Back of the fall of the die are causes or chains of causes running back further than the mind can follow. The position of the die in the box, the amount of muscular energy expended in the throw, the condition of the table, etc., are all are causes, the effect of which may be seen. But back of these seen causes, there are chains of unseen preceding causes, all of which had a bearing upon the number of the die which fell uppermost. I'm just going to take a moment there. Like, I think the whole battle here is that humanity, or the dark occult, Luciferian, Nephilim, alien royals running the world, want to be God. That's it. They just want to play God. So they want to ignore these laws, or they want to encourage us to ignore these laws, and they want to follow the laws. That's basically more like it. They want to keep these laws occulted so we don't know about them. And then they want to follow the laws in such a way that they don't have culpability or seeming culpability. They are not effective the cause, and then they get to do whatever they want. And then what they do is they convince us that there are no laws. You know, nature is kill or be killed, survival of the fittest, or whatever. And that this is a mechanistic planet with no underlying spiritual force behind it. And so they can do whatever they want, and whatever they want is hedonism, you know, complete I don't even know how to describe it, all the crap that we know about that they're doing: pedophilia, transgenderism, cannibalism. You know, it's just the opposite, the clippeth, the antichrist, call it whatever you want. That's what they want. They want it to make it look like there is no pattern here to follow to live a free life. So you have to just duke it out. That's what this is all about. It's all about who's boss. Is there a God boss with laws, or do we just get to each be boss and do whatever we want without any consequences? That's basically what this whole thing is about. That's basically what everything is about right now, and has always been about. You know, and what this book is showing is that there are laws governing. There's a pattern. The one that's behind my head is the pattern, the underlying pattern of life on Earth can be viewed through the flower of life symbol. But, you know, do as you wish. And then, of course, you know, individual people hear about this and they're like, well, I'm just one person, you know, and I can't fight against the mass collective mania. And that's just a lie. That's a total lie. Of course you can. Yeah, I'm just one person, but I am interconnected with all sentient beings on the planet, and therefore my actions matter just as much as any other actions matter. Therefore, I can't get away with just throwing my hands in the air and putting my head in the sand, ignore ants without consequence, because I want to believe that I'm just one person. That's just a, you know, backhanded way of doing whatever you want and believing there's no consequence. Good luck. Good luck with that. Okay, I'm going back to it now. If a die be cast a great number of times, it will be found that the numbers shown will be equal. That is, there will be an equal number of one spot, two spot, etc. coming uppermost. Toss a penny in the air and it may come down either heads or tails, but make a sufficient number of tosses and the heads and tails will about even up. This is the operation of the law of average. But both the average and single toss come under the law of cause and effect. And if we were able to examine into the preceding causes, it would be clearly seen that it was simply impossible for the die to fall other than it did under the same circumstances and at the same time. Given the same causes, the same results will follow. There is always a cause and a because to every event. Nothing ever happens without a cause, or rather a chain of causes. You know, what popped into my head while I was reading that was, why do bad things happen to good people? Well, because good people make mistakes and then they try to cover them up. You know, that's just the way it is. Or they're unaware of the mistakes they're making because they're not aware of these laws. They may be good people, all people, except psychopaths who aren't really human. And I mean, not secondary psychopaths. I mean primary psychopaths when I say that. Secondary psychopaths can be created by trauma, so they can be rehabilitated. But primary psychopaths are not really human because they have no attachment to their heart. Okay, so that's where your conscience is, like, is in your heart. Like if you do something wrong, you feel it. Although the society is going to encourage you to do that, the system's going to encourage you to not follow your heart, because that's the extreme that we're at right now and getting worse and worse. But the point is that why bad things happen to good people is because good people or people can do bad things if they don't listen to their conscience. And then they have the effect of their cause. That's it. And if you scrutinize bad effects that have happened to you, you could trace it back to things that you were doing. You'd have to look carefully at yourself. And there are ways to do that. Like you could look at, for example, I'll give you an example, all the people you're mad at right now. You could make a list of all the people you are mad at right now. And then put next to their name what they did to you. And this could even be politicians, because there's plenty of politicians to be mad at. And then then you could look deeply, meditate meditate on that list and those causes, and ask yourself a few questions. You'd ask yourself, one, if you ever did anything like what you're mad at them for. You'd ask yourself if you were playing God, meaning that you think you know how they should behave. Therefore, you're playing God. And or anything that pops into your mind while you're writing this list, which might be equal to or worse than what they did. See, that is what you did that caused you to place yourself in that position to be harmed. Because we're human, we're animal alien beings, or whatever the hell humans are, and we make mistakes all the time. You know, we lie, cheat, and steal all the time to try and get our way. You know, even if you pick up a $10 bill that's on the floor in your house, and you know that it's not yours, and you know that it belongs to your partner's, but you tell yourself, oh, I found it, so therefore it's mine, that's theft. You're stealing. Like, you'd have to go to them and say, hey, I found this $10 bill. Is it yours? Yesterday, I made a mistake, by the way. I was doing a job for my partner, and I made a mistake in the job that I was doing. It was an innocent mistake. but it took up like 2 hours of my time, and I decided to not undo the mistake because I figured it might be okay. So I told him what I did, and he said it was okay. So rather than spend the time to correct the mistake, it wasn't that big of a deal. But if I was going to be at effect of my cause, I would have just not told him about it, because I would have been embarrassed that I made a mistake and I wouldn't want to correct it. That would place me in a position to be harmed, because I would be lying, which is theft. It's coercion. I say I'm going to do something, and then I make a mistake, and then I don't tell the other person that I've made a mistake, and I act like I did it correctly, but I know I didn't do it correctly. I've just set up a situation by which down the road, maybe right away or in a few days or whatever, something like that's going to come back to me. Besides the fact that I feel crappy because I lied. But you do that enough times, right? You lie enough times, you start to numb out here. You start to not feel it. It starts becoming the norm. And then you might have to, do things to escape that feeling, like shop, drink, smoke weed, whatever, do meth, do heroin, gamble, watch porn. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do, right? Overeat. You can do all kinds of things to try and shut off this conscience. And then you live like that for long enough, which is what the society wants you to do, because it makes you a good consumer, right? You do that stuff long enough, and then you're totally detached from the effect of your cause. You have no idea. And then you start saying things like, why do bad things happen to good people? Well, I mean, if you're raised in a traumatic situation and you have a lot of trauma, you're going to have a lot of pain here anyway. So you have to clear that away to become aware of what you did. But again, why were you in that situation in the first place? Well, we discussed that during the law of rhythm. It could be other lifetimes. You think those dark occult Luciferians are getting away with this? No, they're not. They could be the ones coming back as the Bureau of Land Management horses. They're going to have to come back and start all over again somehow. So they're probably going to come back into very nasty situations to start all over again, so that their souls will learn these laws. That's the whole point of being here on Prison Planet, is to learn these laws and apply them in every situation. You have to get to that point of having your will broken down enough that you are sick and tired of trying to run the show yourself, and you're willing to surrender to these laws. And then you have access to unlimited power through God, the creator, however you want to call it. I really don't care. And I don't think it cares either what it's called, as long as we live by these laws and treat each other the way we would like to be treated. That's the whole point. So I think that's enough out of me for this time. See you next time.